Hey, what's happening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? DFS 5, Brian Kostrowski here. We're ready to talk Week 14 of the NFL DraftKings slate. It's already here. It's upon us. We are 2 weeks out from NBA. We're getting our sports back. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, let's get it, man. We got, like you said, NBA preseason starting Friday. NFL playoffs are coming soon, which is wild.
Yes, they are. It's going to be fun, man. I'm so excited for NBA. I'm excited for preseason NBA. And you know me, I don't get excited about preseason sports. I've always said the NFL preseason is like a strip club.
Yep.
It's really close to what you like, but it's not there, right? It's a close representation of something you're interested in, but it's just a giant tease and it does not give you any of the satisfaction of the real thing.
It's one of those things it's so close, yet it's so far away.
Exactly. But this year, NBA preseason, I am pumped, and we will be talking about it probably as early as tomorrow.
Yeah, can't wait.
All right, man. So we mentioned it, or we're going to mention it. As you can see by who's on the cover this week, we're getting a little ballsy with one of our picks, but we'll talk about him here momentarily. Before we get into that, though, guys, I want to shout out our show sponsor, Overlay Fantasy Sports, guys. I haven't really talked about this in a lot of detail lately, so I want to keep bringing this one up. We talk about the matchup shop all the time. I'm on Instagram every day talking about it. The link is below if you don't see those. I'll be talking about it a ton once the NBA season comes up. But we have a cross promotion with our partners at Overlay, and if you've considered signing for any brand new customer, if you make a deposit, and you can see how they work out here, a $50 deposit would get you 2 weeks, $100 deposit gets you a free month. If you make those deposits at Overlay, send me a screenshot of that deposit and I can give you a free membership to the 5-pack. We had a customer of ours who's kind of a big bettor. He was paying monthly fees forever, signed up with a $1,000 deposit on Overlay. Now he's a free lifetime customer of the DFS 5-pack permanently moving forward. So a lot of good things, and specifically a lot of great things coming with the NBA about to start.
Yeah, a lot of good deals we got going on, and we're excited to have a slate to talk about every day, man. I can't wait to get back to writing every day.
I can't wait to get back to some sense of normalcy, right? I have a reason to wake up in the morning. I woke up the other day at 10 o'clock, which is not like me at all. And then responding to somebody on text, I'm I had nothing to get up here for today. Yeah, I'll work out and do all those things, but no reason to get up. I am so excited for daily sports.
Amen. Couldn't agree with you more.
All right, guys, current 5-pack promotion up right now, too, is any new monthly customer this week, sign up, get half of your month reimbursed right away, which basically means you get the next couple of football slates for free. And then when NBA starts in 2 weeks, you'll be up and going with both sports.
Mm-hmm.
Subscribe if you're new. Thumbs up is always appreciated. It means more to us than you guys know. So let's talk about a guy that, Ronald Jones of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we'll start by saying, clearly, he is GPP preferable. And the big reasons behind that are, one, he's going to be low owned. I have to imagine he won't get a ton of buyers. So, you always let that in the GPP format. And he's hard to trust. A lot of times we see in these games, he makes an early mistake. And for some reason, then they just go away from him. They get too pass heavy. They bring in Mr. Dusted Leonard Fournette, and things don't work out very well right there. We don't have a quarterback preference this week, so we're going to be heavy on running back and wide receiver on this video. But if there's a quarterback we end up really liking, we'll bring him up Sunday morning on the follow-up video. One thing we really like about Jones is we both fully agree on this. Without talking it over, we were both 2 feet in on this one. We see it that with 2 weeks off, with the bye week and everything like that Tampa Bay might get out of their own way and decide that they're going to run the ball effectively against a Minnesota defense that's less than stellar. I think Ronald Jones could be in line for 20-plus touches. And anybody who watches the Buccaneers can kind of tell, Leonard Fournette's just not that good. There's a reason that the Jags didn't get anything for him. And when you watch these two guys go, I think Ronald Jones is a significantly better runner of the football.
Yeah, I don't think it's even close. I'm with you. The breakout game and the big game's coming, assuming that you're right. They get their heads on straight and they decide to give him the ball 20-plus times, which I know Arians has said before. He said that about other guys, and it hasn't come to fruition. I believe him here because it seems so obvious that they need to get the running game going, and they need to just pound the rock. You're right. It is hard to trust him because of the fumble problems, the dropsies, and the fact that they got so many mouths to feed on that offense. But I love that we both love this. The spot couldn't be better. Minnesota is, far from a team we're afraid to pick on. Their defense is seen better days, that's for sure. And again, I just think the big game's coming for Jones, and this is a great spot to get them going for the playoff push. And as bad as they've played, bad as they've played the past, month or so, they're still, almost guaranteed to make the playoffs unless they collapse hard.
Well, they need this game if they want to make the playoffs, right? Like, this is a hard game for them to lose because they're not winning the division. This would flip-flop them with Minnesota, not to mention lose them out in the tiebreaker and everything like that. So this is an important game for Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And if it was me, again, I'm not Bruce Arians. I have very little control. In fact, I have no control over how they decide to play this game. But if it was me, I would get back to pounding the rock with Ronald Jones. He is a good running back outside of, again, the aforementioned fumbles and drops and stuff like that. But it's not like Leonard Fournette doesn't drop the ball every other pass attempt either. So, like, stop trying to make him a thing and give the ball to Ronald Jones, get him going. The last time I liked him, he went off with that long run. So I feel better about this because that was the last time I really liked him. But we were joking around before the video. That means absolutely nothing to how he plays this week. It just makes me feel warm and fuzzy about it.
Yeah, for sure. And, I had a good point. But now I forgot it. Damn. It's a really good one, too.
All right, well, that'll happen. I'll swing on back to it if you think of it as we talk through the rest of the guys. Either way, and mainly, I do want to reiterate, guys, this is a better GPP play than cash game. I'm assuming he'll come in with single-digit ownership this weekend. There's going to be enough other running backs. We're going to talk about 2 more of them throughout this video that are going to get love. And as guys, start to get injured and get COVID throughout the week, I'm sure we get even more punt plays at the running back position. So give me a guy who could, potentially see 20-plus touches for an offense that could be good against a less than stellar defense.
And my point about Tampa and the playoffs is that if they win the games they're supposed to win, they will be in the playoffs. And this is a game that they're supposed to win.
Yeah, Minnesota's been surging, but they should win this game, right? Coming off of a bye at home, Minnesota should win this game.
Yeah, like Minnesota's not awful, but if they want to be a playoff team, this is a game they need to win.
Yeah, both of these teams need this game. I'm excited for this game from a real-life perspective. And because my Packers play in the afternoon, I feel like if there's any game that I watch a large amount of, it's going to be this one because I'm interested in this one from a real-life perspective.
I'm with you.
All right, next up, speaking of running backs that we like, so this is the classic NFL story for anybody who bets on sports, right? Take a look at a decent football team that played poorly last week. And the Titans, especially on their defense, which isn't good, played poorly last week. Baker Mayfield was out there looking like Peyton Manning in his prime. So we expect that the Jaguars get it together this week, come in, go up against an inferior opponent that's lost 197,000 straight games and get it done this week. So we're looking at the Henry train right here. It did not work last week, but it's not like Derrick Henry's terrible. It just so happened that what were your Browns up 48-0 at the end of the first quarter? That takes Derrick Henry out of the game. So we like Henry to be his typical workhorse self. And after he blew up 2 weeks ago, we were saying, like, this is the time of the year where Derrick Henry excels. People are sick of getting hit, and they definitely don't want to hit this dude.
Yeah, so last week was just a aberration. I mean, he had a shitty game. They got down 1,000 points. He fumbled. You don't usually see that from him. He's definitely a guy I love in a bounce-back spot. Going all the way back to week 2, Henry was basically chalk in this same spot. I'm sure he was a little bit less expensive. I can't remember exactly the price. And he didn't have a great game by GPP standards because they just threw a bunch of the touchdowns in.
He was bad by cash game standards, too.
Well, I expect Tennessee to get back to what really their bread and butter is, and that's feeding Henry the rock. And especially after a game like last week that saw them kind of get out of sorts. I think Henry gets a ton of touches this week against an inferior team. And anytime that happens, the upside's real.
Yeah, the Jags give up the 7th most points per game to the running back position. They're just not very good. And Jacksonville is not a team with a lot of motivation to win, right? Like, so while the players are out there trying to win their games, like, I don't know, like, I just don't see this as like a spot where they come out like super motivated to win this one. They've taken some tough losses lately, so maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe they are real motivated to win this game. But I think this is a spot for Tennessee as the better football team to come in, coming off a bad loss, get the ball to Henry, establish the run, and I could easily see him with 125 and 2 touchdowns in this one.
For sure.
All right, let's keep moving on down the list. Third running back we want to talk about is a guy I feel like we just brought up about 5 minutes ago because we brought him up the other day when they faced the Pittsburgh Steelers as an interesting GPP pivot. And lo and behold, Not what we were expecting, but Antonio Gibson left about 34 seconds into that game and is considered doubtful with some pretty bad turf toe. So if Gibson plays, I probably am not looking at McKissick, but the way it stands right now, like I take that doubtful tag as what it really is. He's doubtful. This dude is a PPR beast, and he's a very good pass catcher, but more importantly, like Alex Smith, he ain't going down the field. He likes to dump it off. That's his thing. And yes, Peyton Barber will probably step in and take more of a role in the running game. But is Peyton Barber something you're scared of? No. Like I kind of feel like they use McKissick on short passes, a little bit of an extension of the running game. This is a Washington team that's played well lately. They are surging. They're trying to win this division. This is a really big game for them. And I expect them to play well in a good weather game right here. And I think it's very likely he sees 10-plus targets again.
Yeah, and I don't even think it matters if they play well, because if they don't play well, they're going to be trailing, and then it's just dump down city to McKissick.
Love that.
Big game for both these teams here. He's going to be involved in any type of game script. He's one of the better value plays on the board. I liked him a lot a couple of days ago. I like him a lot here. It makes a ton of sense, all formats.
Yeah, and I like that point about the fact that if Washington plays terribly, then he's like game skip proof in that fashion, because, I mean, that could even be better for him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like, even if they get rolled, like, he could be out there late. You know what I mean? Like, there is very little there is no game script. I see him not being involved.
I'm with you 100% on that one, and I love that. All right, next up. All right, this is kind of a keep it simple, stupid play. A young man by the name of Julio Jones that plays for the Atlanta Falcons. And I don't know how else to break it down with, we don't really need stats right here or anything like that. It's Julio Jones for 6,600. He has not had a great season. He's been in and out with a couple of injuries. But from my eyes, he seems healthy enough right now that I'm not scared of that. Going against a Chargers team whose defense is, they gave up a ton of points last week, but their defense has played a little bit better, but far from something that you fear. This is still one of the best wide receivers in the game at only 6,600 in a game that could have some offense.
When their defense is fully healthy, like with Bosa and Derwin James, they've got big upside, but they leave a lot to be desired on a week-to-week basis. I think that starts with their coaching. I mean, Julio is just not a $6,600 wide receiver. He's way too cheap. He's in a fine spot. He looks healthy. Matt Ryan loves him. Doesn't mean he's going to break the slate, but he is just way too cheap for who he is.
Right, every time he goes out there, we haven't seen, Julio's got like 3 of the top 20 receiving games of all time. What he's like monster game capable. A lot of that doesn't happen anymore because Calvin Ridley's also really good. And it isn't just, everything goes to Julio. But this price tag is not enough. And for that reason alone, I'm going to assume he's going to be very popular this week.
I agree.
So it's a great cash game play. Lock him in. But you also know he owns the upside. If you like him and believe him this weekend, it's okay to play a couple of high-owned players in GPPs if you really believe in them. You only have to throw in 1 or 2 like low-owned guys to really be different.
Exactly. No one in football gets to be that high-owned. So I'm with you.
All right, last up, receiver of the week, Adam Thielen, Minnesota Vikings. So the Minnesota offense is surging, while their defense, as you so appropriately put it, has seen better days. Their offense is playing well recently, and this is a big game for them as well. This is not a primetime game, so if you're worried about bad Kirk Cousins, you don't have that in the back of your mind. But most importantly, why to like Adam Thielen? Well, Tampa Bay's pass defense is not very good, but their run defense is as good as it gets. This means that one of the game's top running backs in Dalvin Cook just is not going to be in a situation where he's going to go off more than likely. I bet good money Dalvin Cook is not getting 30 carries and going for 200 yards this week. So they're going to have to throw it a little bit. Well, they have 2 very good pass-catching targets in Adam Thielen, the trusty first down getting, red zone featured, security blanket type of fella, and the big play young rook in Justin Jefferson, who looks like a stud in the making. So I like Thielen for the PPR points right here. Again, another kind of extension to the running game. Tampa Bay is the 5th worst team in the league against opposing wide receivers. They're great against the run, but against the pass, they haven't been good. This is one of the reasons we liked Tyreek Hill 2 weeks ago. We liked Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods a couple of weeks ago. You can't run on Tampa. You are forced into a situation where you have to throw the ball. And if in our situation where we think Tampa plays well, great. That's more volume for the wide receivers in the second half as they're trying to play catch up.
Yeah, exactly. He's another guy, kind of like McKissick. I mean, he's game script dependent. He's involved all over. Big red zone target monster. You mentioned extension of the run game earlier. I mean, he's a perfect example of that here against a team that really is really stout against the run. So there's a bunch of good wide receivers on this slate. He looks really good at 7K.
Yeah, 12 touchdowns this year. I know that maybe has gone under the radar for a few people a lot, but outside of Devontae Adams, I think he's second in the NFL for touchdown catches by wide receivers. They look at him in the red zone. They trust him. He's a very smart route runner. He finds ways to get open. They're creative with him, very similar how the Packers are creative with Devontae Adams down in the, inside the 10-yard line. So in a game where they're going to have to throw, I feel very comfortable saying I expect Adam Thielen to catch a touchdown this week. It's one of the reasons that when I pick a Tampa Bay wide receiver, I usually go with Mike Evans, because even if he doesn't do a ton, they usually look for him in the red zone. And that 6 points is just nice to know this, you can kind of keep it in your back pocket.
Amen.
All right, guys, that's what we got for this week. Grab those monthly memberships, get half your money back, and we'll be back tomorrow to go through the showdown. Sunday, we will go through a second version of this video. We'll be talking about some overlay. We'll be talking about some NBA preseason. We are almost back to having multiple sports and daily sports running.
And we're going to have more Showdown NFLs coming up too. And I know there's a game on Christmas and there's games on Saturdays coming up. So let's get it, man.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Click the thumbs up button. Have yourself a wonderful, wonderful week 14.
Thanks, guys.